Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us for day two of the Paradise Revival Festival. It's good to see many of you returning and a couple new faces here. Um, Yesterday, we went over quite a bit, finding language for what the work that we're going to be doing, and we did a little bit of visioning for the future. So showed my short film and today we're going to be really diving more into that and how we can really map out our future together. Um, and I want to recognize today it's a very significant day, as many of you know. Um, we're gathering under these uncertain times with the pandemic. Last year we were able to gather at the Terry Ash Rec Center and have these conversations in person. We were able to listen to music from musicians that had lost their homes on the ridge and come together in a celebratory way. Um, and now we're doing it online. So there is an opportunity in that. There's folks that are joining us from Oregon that have been displaced. There's folks on here that are new to disaster and are curious about their own path forward, talent in Phoenix, namely. Um, so there is opportunity, and that's what we want to try and focus on. Um, as we arrive today, if you feel comfortable, please check in, put in the chat, how are you commemorating this day? This is November 8th, the 2-year anniversary, and there will be more anniversaries to come. Last year was, it had its own experience, its own flavor that first year out. So we're going through something new this year. For me, I got to go up to my family's property. If you're up in Paradise today, how sweet it was to have snow. Oh my, if we could have had that 2 years ago, what a difference. It was cold, snowy. It was beautiful to be on my family's land with 100+ fruit trees that had made it through the fire. So if you feel comfortable, start letting us know how are you commemorating this day? What are some of the traditions that you're starting to see that you might carry forward year after year? Um, Mine is to show up on the land up there, and I think also connecting with you all. Um, when we look at that day, it was the uh, camaraderie and neighborly love that really saved so many people. People jumping in the back of people's trucks coming out of the fire. And I hope that is what we're able to continue, that spirit of neighborly love and generosity. So if anybody wants to speak too, what does today mean to you? What are some traditions that you're looking at? Or
Number one, if I can speak, I loved the snow up here in Magalia. Big flakes falling down, and what an anniversary gift. But I wrote a story for our wishing well, and I'll be dropping that off on the way down to Chico today. And I thought, wow, I could write one story a year maybe to celebrate our anniversary.
hmm, thanks, Lori. Yeah,
Mhm.
our stories. Anybody else? Um, anybody from anybody here from Paradise that has been displaced or is outside of the area? How are you um, commemorating today? I see Annie is working on the land, honoring the day by turning in my garden. participating in the cycles of the seasons, turning a page. Hmm. Yeah, that was a day of transition.
Well, I just want to say that I'm commemorating this 2-year anniversary by turning the page from the beginning, what seems like a sprint for the last 2 years, to a long-term plan, seeing things in a much broader perspective. And part of that for us is starting a food forest at our new home, sequestering carbon and becoming self-sufficient. And I just before I got here received the permaculture design plan from Matthew Traum about how we one idea for doing that. And so that's my commemoration. It's a really significant thing to have received on the 2-year anniversary, because it's the future. It's the vision for the future.
Mm. Thanks.
In a breakout room yesterday with Lori, the image of paradise as a island of sanity in a world in change came up. And 2 years ago, I was in Fukushima when I first heard of the campfire, and I think probably first heard of paradise. And it's interesting to imagine, it's important to imagine that those places devastated by disaster may in fact be the islands of sanity that help us all find our way forward. So I'm caught in holding the fragility of the world, and that fragility is as part of a pathway forward.
Nice. Yeah. I see from Mimi attending the CMA church and barbecue later. So gathering with community up on the ridge, and got some daffodils from town council members, Steve Crowder and Melissa Schuster, who were up there recently. The daffodil, if you're not aware, was made the official town flower, symbol of coming up out of the ashes and spring and rebirth, and crying. Yeah, and Shane's murals, very nice. Thanks for sharing that, Mimi. Well, I think, we'll be processing this obviously for many years. And it's just, for me, I'm so glad that I get to be here with you all today, because again, it's that community that really is what we need to carry forward, and we can keep checking back in with each other as time goes. I'd like us to move into our program for the day. Susan, could you frame our next session?
Hey, can I jump in here a
Sure,
second?
please.
Yeah, Julian, go ahead.
Do you want to recap what happened yesterday for you and us?
Yeah, I can do that again. Let's bring up our notes on that. So yesterday, as I said, we gathered. There's some folks here that joined us for both days, and then there's some new folks here. What we wanted to do yesterday was start thinking about how we can visualize a future together. What is that North Star that we might be pointing towards? What are some of the opportunities? And for folks that participated in the UDA process a couple of years ago, it was amazing. And we also understand that is a dynamic conversation. It is not static. It is not a one and done. So we had breakout groups where we talked about, where do we see paradise in 5 years? Where do we see it in 10? Where do we see it in 50 years? So keeping in conversation with each other, on that roadmap. And each of us has a unique perspective. There's folks here who aren't from Paradise, but have some experience in disaster recovery. So they were able to share their perspective. We have folks on here that that lost their home, different socioeconomic levels. They get to share their perspective. So we've harvested a lot of that information. We have Jill again with us today. Thank you, Jill, for being here. She's mapping out our conversations in a visual way. So later on, we're going to be able to go back through and see her artwork as we're in conversation. For today, how do you feel about that, Julian? Do you want to add anything, or Bob or David or Susan?
No, I don't need to add anything to that, but I know that Julian had some interesting things to say about gifts and skills to lead us into the next part as well. So I wanted to turn over to him for some of those comments.
So we often talk about the skills that people have, and often people really mean the jobs that people have. I'm a carpenter, I'm a teacher, I'm a lawyer, but really the skills that people have are quite different. Someone might be an awesome convener, bringing people together in different ways. Some people have nurturing skills, which are just incredible. Some people have wisdom skills. Some people have innovation skills of different kinds. And so what makes a community strong and resilient is actually being able to recognize people's gifts. And so I'm separating that idea is the gifts as something that isn't your job description. The gifts are something that is your DNA. It's who you are. It's what you bring to the table. And so we're going to talk about skills because they're important, and gifts, and they're important. And often people's gifts they're invisible to each other because we're so focused on our jobs and our sort of perceived roles. And we're going to talk about roles as well. So in this next session, we're going to touch on those three things: our gifts, our skills, and our roles. That's it, Susan.
All right, thanks. So we're going to go into breakout groups, and as a result of kind of looking at what we did yesterday, we decided that longer breakout groups seem to be better. And so we're going to go into a nice long breakout group now where we're going to address 3 questions, and we'll put them in the chat for you, and they will travel with you to the breakout rooms. And just as a reminder too, in the breakout rooms, for those of you who weren't here yesterday, I'll give a brief overview of try to make sure that everybody participates. And the way to do that is if you see somebody who's not talking, call on them. That's fine to ask them to speak. If you are speaking yourself, please keep your eye on the timer, to be sure that that everybody is going to give, have some time left over to speak. We use the Google Jamboard. So when you get, Bob has just put the link to the Google Jamboard in the chat, so you can click on that. And when you get into your breakout group, the number of your breakout group will play while it's putting you into the group. And so go to that number of the Jamboard. On the top, there's a little sort of arrow, and go from 1 over to whatever number your breakout group is. And just make an effort to try to acknowledge what other people are saying, weave in what you are saying with what they're saying, no connections between the comments, reflect what you're hearing from other people, and then tie your own ideas into that. So there's just some guidelines for the breakout groups. But we're going to be addressing 3 questions in the breakout groups, and they are these. Number 1, what gifts do I see in others in this gathering that most inspire me? And number 2, what are my skills and offerings towards the whole? And number 3, how do I share my gifts with others? What is my role? And so thinking this in terms of, the visioning the future for Paradise going forward, what gifts are you bringing? What gifts do you see in others? How can we use them in this process going forward? So that's what we'll be focusing on in the breakout groups.
Susan, how many people in a breakout group would you like John to have based on the numbers we have?
Let's well, I would say 4 or 5, right?
Okay, sounds good.
All right. So any questions? All right, let's go into breakout rooms and talk with each other.
Screen, they start to leave.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it. Hi, everybody.
I don't know if you caught of anything what I was saying. I just saw I was muted. So, but
We heard you, Dan. Now we're back in the big room.
Yeah, we were in the big room. Yeah, that was pretty amazing.
Hi, Dan.
hi, Mimi.
Which of us is taking it from here? We're in the big room. Susan, Alan, David, Bob.
I see you were in a breakout group.
Yeah, welcome back, everybody. I hope that you enjoyed your session and you had a lot of some rich conversation. I know I did in our group. What are some of the things that you heard? Let's share some key moments or places of intersection that you saw.
Let me just say that our group is pretty amazing. I met some people that are really gonna make a difference to what happens in Paradise in the future. I'm gonna let them speak about it if they want to, but it was unexpected and pretty exciting.
I'll just speak up and do the overview because I was taking notes. And we ran into people in our group who, number one, John and Lori, who put out their own fire and the fires of 4 of their neighbors and took video of it. And so their skills are in that and teaching people how to keep their houses and their properties from burning as fast with simple inventions that they are willing to share. We had a woman that came from Santa Rosa, Lana, not Santa Rosa, Santa Cruz, Lana, who has building materials that are low carbon emissions materials because she's very, very environmentally aware and she would love to be able to share them. She's a building material supplier, but she wants to share what she has with Paradise without making a profit. And she just needs a mechanism to do that. We talked about facilitating group processes in the community, just like the UDA, on a regular basis. So people like, John and Lori and Lana have a place to come and say, this is what I have to offer. And other people can come and say, this is what I need. And we can communicate with each other about that and focus on, ways of using those things. So we had an amazing group. Thank you, guys.
So let me say I was in that group. So what's scary about John and Laurie is they actually videoed the process. John admitted that he wasn't very good at editing his video. So we said, we'll find some people that can do that. But he actually videoed how the fire went along fences, went up. And John, I'm telling you a story. Why don't you jump in? You're on mute.
There we go.
Okay, back here. It was just a flow through process where we had prepared for the fire for 4 years before it. We've lived in our house for 35 years. So we saw how things were overgrowing, and we ended up putting all of our hoses together the day of the fire, and we saved 4 houses. My wife literally put out the house next door as it was catching on fire. So we basically then were fighting the fire for 12 hours. The long time was because we still had water, and we figured, well, we're okay as long as we have water. But we watched the houses that we couldn't reach, one after another, catch on fire, and they all did it a certain way. The house on fire would catch the fence in between on fire, usually because right at that particular spot, there's a lot of trash cans, plastic, that caught on fire too. And then what it'd do is the flames would come up the other wall and go right up underneath the overhang and catch the overhang on fire. And then that would go into the attic of the next house. And it happened that way time after time again. And we're just going, if they would just, these fences, one simple code change might be that they act like wicks. If they could just put 2 or 3 boards that were non-flammable in that chain of fence, that would prevent it from wicking down the line, and it would stop it right there. We had a heck of a time trying to put out a fence time after time after time again. And it would be nice that if it just had the boards in there, it would stop it, and or maybe a cement type of fence would be good. Okay, we better stop.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, we would think of a product like, say, Hardy Board or some other flammable product.
Hey,
Thank you, guys. I'd love to hear from other groups. We've been talking all about our group.
I'll go. So in my group, I had a unique group in that it was all Paradise folks. So I had Holly from the Rebuild Paradise Foundation. I had Peggy, and I had Mimi in our group. And yeah, obviously Rebuild Paradise Foundation has immense skills and offerings. And that was something that I noted as inspiring, that the grants that they're offering. So if you're not aware in this group, reach out to Rebuild Paradise Foundation, as they have a great model for folks rebuilding, offering grants, offering house plans, etc. And one thing that we noticed is that how our work can support the whole was that even just in our own family, it's when we're helping our parents or we're helping our siblings and our immediate loved ones, that's where we're getting the most, I think, drive is what I heard. And we're seeing that as a way to support the whole, that just in our own families, if we do that, then we're helping the whole. And it's similar to what we experienced in our evacuations for folks that, needing a place to go. It was their families and friends that took them in. And so we're continuing that. So that was neat to see.
I wonder if Mary Kay or Caden would like to share from our group discussion.
Hi, everyone. My name is Caden Jones, and I am an intern with My Valley, My Home in Oregon. And I am right now working on helping those that were displaced by the fires here. And so it was really awesome to hear from my group, and we all kind of agreed that just having a sense of community and finding ways to showcase art and beauty in this time is just so important. It just brings us all together, and I am looking forward to hearing more about everyone's experiences and being able to apply that to the community that I'm currently in here in the Rogue Valley. So thank you all for having me.
David and I need to leave. So if you can make the movie in Chico, that would be wonderful. Good to meet you all.
Thanks, Lori. I'll be there.
Bye, Lori.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Laurie.
Bye,
Bye,
David.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I want to call on Carrie and the story of finally having made it back to paradise, but feeling alone and isolated. You're on mute, Carrie. Still. There you go. Oops, you had it. You did it twice.
How about
There.
now? You got me now?
You're,
Okay.
we can hear you.
Why are you always telling on me?
It's my job,
Thank you so much for being part of our life and taking the time to do that for us. Yeah, I'm just, you know what, Carrie's been really strong and awesome and active, and it's time for Carrie to just I'm just really scared and crying these days, and I haven't been able to tell myself that it's okay. So, and I've been isolated, really isolated, and so that's why I'm here. And I know I have a lot to offer, but I think I just need this winter time to, I haven't written or done anything because I've been going. And so I've got in the trailer on the property, and I put up a fence to make me feel safer. And I've got a lock on my gate. And, that is what I have been sharing, that, and I even shared earlier, maybe I'll share real quick now too while I talk, but there are, okay, out here, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 homes being built, and only one of them has people living in it because they have to pass all these things before you can even be in it. So, I mean, my neighborhood's gonna be awesome, but right now I don't feel safe, and I just feel scared, and can't seem to let it go. So, okay, so that's all for me right now.
So, hey, Carrie, how can we help with the stuff that you're going through?
I really don't know. I guess I do want to know, like, well, and then there's, because of the disease too, like there's nothing for us to get together and do with people. And it's just a very interesting time in life right now. And so.
I have to tell everybody that Carrie is the keeper of our tool lending library, and that is a project that she and I and Alan are going to be pulling together in Geneva as time goes forward. And that's it's a really great idea where not everybody in Paradise needs their own lawnmower, right?
Right.
You buy one of those tools and then you lend it out, and you find a way to. And this is what we still have to figure out: find a way to make sure that that all your liability is covered, and people know how to take care of things and get them back to you in good shape and all that stuff. But we share, and Carrie's been instrumental in just like kind of being the keeper of the flame on that for a while, and we're moving forward on that. I think real soon with that
I would love by early spring, we're just ready for people to come, because sometimes you need a hammer, sometimes you need a pair of pliers, but that's all you need it for. And yeah, I would love to. We just need to find the right place to make it happen. So
we're going to get together on that. And I appreciate you so much, Carrie.
Thank you, babe. I appreciate you.
Carrie came out to my property and helped me knock down broom on the first day I met her. Okay. She helped me knock down broom.
So we're neighbors, huh?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, as I'm looking at the faces on these postage stamps on the screen, I've especially been seeing Lana, who is like, there's actually 2 people there, I can tell. And I just love your expressions of listening and solidarity and staying with what's being said. And it makes me really curious about what are you hearing and what are you sensing right now?
I'm hearing a lot of opportunities for connections in the community, not just me and Paradise people, but between you. And it's really exciting, actually.
Yeah.
And spreading knowledge, but also support. And I'm wondering, for instance, if our dear friend that's having so much trouble with just speaking, did she log out? Carrie, there you are. I see you on the screen.
Howdy.
You know, I'm wondering if you'd feel more safe if you're living in a trailer, or, right?
Yeah.
If your trailer would just temporarily in another lot with neighbors that are actually there, and if that would be a nice thing to do for a couple months, and if you know, I mean, I don't know, but it sounded to me like one of your problems is you're surrounded by buildings but no people. Is
Right.
that what makes you feel unsafe?
Yeah, it is. But there are, everybody's like a matter of a month. But that's the thing too, like it's been a matter of a month for about 6 months now. Everything takes longer and longer and longer than we think. So, and I think part of it's just me too. Like, I don't know, there's something about me where I just need to sit still and just be still. And actually maybe it's the perfect opportunity for me to be alone. Like, and that's, I don't know if I shared that. I think I shared it with my group. Like, I've never been alone in my whole life. And so I think that's just part of it too. Like, I just need to be a big girl.
Carrie, it's not just you. I've never had trouble with depression or feelings of loneliness, but this year, well, you know, what is this? Why should it be this hard? It shouldn't be this hard, but it is.
Yeah. And I think too, like, if you don't let yourself cry and feel it, then it's just going to hang. And that's what I'm finding. It just keeps hanging here. I need to just write it out and let it go. You know, I don't know. It just seems like I've been holding on to it because, like, that's the only thing as far as this fire I have is these memories. It's like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to be, I'm just feeling a little sad and cuckoo, to be honest.
Carrie, you know, your ability to, even as you're sitting there with this little device in your hand, connect with us through what you're feeling. And it gives all of us permission to feel as well. And today, we're on the anniversary and we're under a pandemic and there's a lot of shit. And it's important for us to, even though we're with these devices, be able to feel with each other. So thanks for being the exemplar and showing.
And thank you, hun, for reminding me. Oh yeah, it's the anniversary. Oh yeah, we're not allowed to be with anyone. Yeah, it is overly dramatic in a lot of ways. Everything.
Let me just jump in second, and
Please.
first of all say thanks to Lana and Kerry for having such a wonderful conversation with each other. But just being cognizant of time.
Thank you.
We want to end this session on time, which is 3:15, and we want to ask Jill to share the graphic representation of first part of this afternoon's work.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Sorry, I just need one sec. So one of the invitations at the beginning of today was to start mapping our future together, but it really feels like there's a story here that needs to be shared before people are ready to move forward. Some of the things that people are doing to acknowledge and celebrate, to just acknowledge what's happened, honoring the cycles of the seasons. People are turning the soil, People are gathering. People are looking to a broader perspective. They're looking to permaculture design. They're turning the page. They're gathering daffodil bulbs, and people are writing stories. So I'm just seeing a really broad spectrum of actions and moments that people are taking in commemorating this day, the anniversary of the fire. Gift skills and roles. In the first group, it seemed challenging to just break it down. There was more connection and stories that needed to be told. And Carrie was sharing her story about how she's on the land. She has a shed. She has a trailer. There's a mural project happening. There's bulbs being given out. There are tears being shed, and this general feeling of not being ready to move forward, wanting to move into stillness, but still realizing that we need to make new connections and see the possibilities. Some of the other things that were acknowledged were the way that people in the community are coming together, the way that some people in the community are visioning, the way that some people are really imagining the future. And then there was an acknowledgement of how there are very dedicated, committed people that are showing up for certain things. One of the things that is being created with Carrie's talents is a tool library. People are being invited to integrate and bring together their skills and gifts to find their place, to find their direction, and to use their creativity. Some of the things that were said, I want to be of service, I want to show up, but I don't know what my direction is, and I need to connect. I don't really know what I want and need. I feel scared. People have stolen things. There are houses but no people. I don't feel safe. And then there was an acknowledgement of the authentic feelings that were being spoken were gifts. It's a gift to be able to share your feelings and experiences. Some of the other things that were shared were this person has chronic PTSD from the fire and also from all of the theft that took place after the fire. And this living with this chronic state has been influencing her health, and dealing with traumatic memories is very challenging. But at the same time, there's all of this beauty that is unfolding through the community, through the Paradise Guild organization, through her work, the way she's nurturing, the way she's being with people, the way she's able to acknowledge her intuitive teaching abilities and her ability to extend feelings of love, extending hugs, extending joy, and also an invitation to join this group. So there's generally a sense of people are empathetic and they're aware and they're being generous and they're offering their gifts and their skills. And then it sounded like in the other group there was more concrete sort of physical offerings of building materials and inventions, and there's communication and facilitation going on. So there's sort of this combination of intuitive, empathic feeling, but then there's also people who are working on physical building and developing. There was an invitation to restore cultural venues, and also there was an acknowledgement there are a lot of people active, and there's a sense of being a member or membership to different guilds and groups. This one family seems to be incredibly gifted at understanding fire safety and how to avert fire, how to potentially change some of the codes around how the houses are built to stop fires from spreading from house to house. There's also this emphasis on preparedness and security. There was a shout out to the Rebuild Paradise Foundation, who's offering grants and house plans. So this is an organization that's offering support. It was the spirit of helping our friends and our family, and that we're lending support to the whole by helping our families, our parents, our children, our friends, and our neighbors. And then there was also a gift of listening for connection and a gift of seeing people, and a need to potentially write things out and to start finding out who we are and establishing neighborhoods again. We didn't have a chance to put that in there, but there are actually new neighborhoods forming now, which is new. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jill. Yeah,
Oh, that was
Jen,
lovely. Thank you.
beautiful.
I have a question. Is this been put on like by Behavior Health? Because it seems to be like a therapy group. Is that what this is?
It does feel that way.
Yeah.
This is put on by Regenerating Paradise, and we are not a behavioral health group. We are a community a facilitation group where our mission statement is to reweave the social fabric that regenerates paradise. And so that's our mission. And when we hear people in pain, though, we have a hard time not responding to them. So that's why that happened.
Okay. Because
I think it's because it's a year now and I'm feeling very emotional today. Sorry.
Yes, me too.
Thanks. Don't be sorry.
So
No, don't be sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I just mention, because I'm a marriage family therapist, so and social worker, and so people were isolated. We were isolated before the quarantine, and then add the quarantine to it, and people are even more isolated. And I have to give a shout out to thank you for doing the Zoom thing, because Zoom has boomed. Oh my gosh. If you ever thought about joining a 12-step group or a therapy group or whatever, it's out there on Zoom. You can go all over the world now on Zoom for free, So, a lot of times people on Zoom, they're very, they don't want to go out and mingle, because of this quarantine, right? Which is understandable. Well, you can still mingle on Zoom. So I just want to give a shout out for Zoom, and, anything you're ever interested in, there's going to be a group on it somewhere.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I agree, Mimi. Thank you. Thanks. That's really true.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mimi.
Well, you want to take us out, Alan?
Yeah. So I just recognizing Mimi's comment that Regenerating Paradise, there's different groups, and we all have a role in the whole, and seeing that the community comes back stronger than before. And so Rebuild Paradise Foundation and their practical work with plans and economic development, we want to make sure that we're checking in with the culture and being a part of that rebuild and bringing us together. And so that is the purpose of this event, so that we can connect. And anytime that we do connect, we're going to uncover something new. And so this therapeutic process is emergent and real and necessary. So I thank all of you for listening to yourself and showing up authentically. That's really that's all we can do right now. And that will really be a part of creating paradise. So thank you. We are a couple minutes over. We're going to go into break, 15 minutes or so. We'll be back at, let me look at our little timeline here, 3:45. So we have a couple options. One, if you want to hang out, still be in conversation, that is one option for a breakout. The other option is some music, playlist of Ridge music. So Susan Dobra has ran the longest open mic in Butte County, and she put together some music for us for the break. Feel free to stretch, take a break, but do come back. We have more at 3:45. Thanks.
Thanks.
Thanks, Alan.
Thanks, Alan. If you want to join a breakout room, go under more. At the bottom of your page, there should be a link that says more, and there will be a thing there that says join breakout group, and you have a stretching breakout room and a conversation breakout room. And if you stay here, you'll hear music. Thanks.
Thanks.
Some of you will find that there isn't the more there. I happen to be one of them. So
Oh, sorry.
don't freak out. Just stay in and the music will play and we'll see you in 25 minutes.
Hello, welcome back, everybody. Hope you got a nice stretch break in. And yeah, so this next, especially because our group is small enough, I feel that for our next step, as we close out the festival, we'll do it as a whole group. And really this next place is, you know, having gone over these last 2 days of envisioning the future, envisioning the whole, and then identifying our own skills and the skills of others, what our actual next steps might be. And so what we want to do from these 2 days is our board will get back together and we're going to write out what we've heard and create a document that we'll share back out and make sure that we heard you all correctly. And we hope to continue to do this throughout the recovery. So options might be doing another one of these in the spring and definitely making this an annual event. This is obviously the second annual Paradise Revival Festival. So let's talk about what our needs are. What are, how do I share my gifts and how do I redistribute? That would be our whole group conversation. Julian, do you want to jump in and help lead us through this next part?
Yeah, I think we've got it down to 5 questions that we'll give about 10 minutes to each question. And I'll read them out because they're subtly different. So the first question is, what did I hear? So what did you hear? And we'll just be feeding back. And then the second question would be, what did I learn? Which is quite different because you can hear things and not necessarily learn from that. Then the third question is, what can we imagine? Sometimes we talk about co-imagine, and that would become a purpose. So we're sort of moving into action now. We've been getting behind, some of the sort of the background, the mental, the philosophical background, but now we're moving into action. So the fourth question is, what is my or our role? And that really is an action. What can I do? How do I fit in to this thing that we've just imagined, which is our purpose, based on what I heard and learned? And then what is my responsibility? That's the fifth question. And that's really about commitment. And the commitment is, if we don't commit and share that commitment with each other, then we're not going to move forward in the same way with the same potential. So that's it. Those are the 5 questions. Is that working, Alan?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
And when we ask, what did I hear? I would say that's, especially for folks that have been with us yesterday and today, this was a program that was mapped over 2 days. And so for folks that are just joining us, I would ask that you still participate, but especially for those that have been with us, to share what you've heard and what you've learned.
And I think the way we'll do it is we'll just do it at what people sometimes call popcorn style, was if you want to speak. And then if someone is maybe speaking too much or something, then we might gently and politely ask other people are given a chance to speak, because we want to hear from everybody. If no one speaks, we'll even allow a little bit of silence because silence is cool. And then we might just pick on someone and say, hey, Susan, what do you think? Or something like that. So first question is, what did I hear?
Well, I'll just start off by saying I heard a lot of great potential. I heard a lot of people that have a lot of great ideas and great skills and things that we could use as a community. And I see it as time. I hear that people are ready to do something else besides what's been being done so far. Something new. That's what I'm hearing.
I've heard a lot of curiosity, curiosity about what's possible, curiosity about where to fit, where they plug in, curiosity about the best way to move forward and recover and what are all the options and how can we, connect heart and housing and healing and environment into all of these things. So yeah, a lot of a creative potential and also maybe some curiosity about how does it all plug in and sort itself.
I heard a lot of dedication, and I heard a lot of authenticity, vulnerability, people showing up and really open to hearing what's happening and in themselves. So yeah, authentic, vulnerable, and dedication.
I think one of the things I heard, which I'm an outsider, I'm down in Berkeley, California, but was very impressed with the caring for each other and the caring for the place. I mean, it's a very strong glue that's going to be, I think, the thing that's going to bring the pieces back together. And that's contrasted with the more urban settings where these communities don't have that kind of glue. And so that's a fantastic resource. That is so privileged and fortunate to have that circumstance, I think, as the basis for coming back together.
I heard a lot of humanity. It seems as we call them disasters, but it seems like what happens in these natural disasters, the people come together in a way that they didn't know they could come together. And that humanity is such an important message, especially when we see in the world that there's so much, often there's a dialogue of so much lack of humanity, lack of empathy, lack of caring and understanding. And yet that's what I hear in this group.
By the way, I'm noting these on one of the Jamboards, and I'll share that later. And I just want to say what I'm not hearing. I'm not hearing a lot of whining. I'm not hearing people saying somebody ought to come and save me. I'm not hearing this is somebody else's. So I like the absence of not hearing that.
I would like to say that I'm hearing, in the words of the great Led Zeppelin, a whole lot of love.
I was just going to say what I've been impressed with is the weaving that you guys have been doing, where you're keeping all the pieces together and passing on and being a conduit to be able to, that I think is really so critical, that you have this place where the people can all come together and then learn something from someone else and go off on and it be productive. It's so critical, but we'll try and do that back here. And the other thing is patience. You know, when you, because it's been a couple of months for us, and when our meetings, we try to discuss, well, this is what we're doing, and everybody wants an answer right away, and they want to be able to, well, what's the solution? And everybody wants to be able to do that, but you really can't. You have to go so slowly, and you have to have patience, and you want to be able to move much quicker, but you can't, because you have to be able to get all the pieces together to understand what it is you're doing. You can't just rush forward and do something. So that's what we're trying to do right now. So.
Thanks, Linda.
Yeah, Linda, when we were in our first few months, somebody said to me, you know, you're sprinting and this is going to be a marathon. and I think that's, you know, you're probably experiencing about the same thing now.
Yes, in the beginning, we had 40 people or 50 people on our one group. I mean, there's about 6 or 7 groups now. And now that group is probably down to maybe 20 or 15. And people just get so burnt out. They just don't realize you cannot have that kind of, put that kind of energy constantly. You just can't. It's too draining. So.
Yeah.
I heard, I have been hearing a sense of connection, overtly and subtly. You know, people, I love the Ashland connection that happened, or the Rogue Valley connection that happened yesterday, or Paradise Guild. So there's some kind of tangible links in that have been created. But yeah, I think several people have spoken to the inherent isolation of this time, and so I'm hearing a sense of a refreshing sense of connectivity present in this call.
I was struck by how present the land, the very physical place called Paradise, appeared in the conversation. Particularly excited to see it when it was actually behind someone yesterday. And the snow that I saw this morning, Alan sent an image of some snow falling when he was up there. And it struck me that what I've heard is this enormous connection to the land and an openness to be vulnerable in talking about it here in this funny, awkward checkerboard space. And finally, it seemed to me, I've done a lot of work where I live with civic activity, but have rarely seen so many young people engaged. And that's on the far side of Medicare. So I may have a skewed view.
Let's move on to the next question. Okay, so we've just expressed what we've heard, but now it's a little bit more challenging, because just to hear things a little bit easier, but the challenge now is, what did I learn? In other words, what did I learn from either from other people, from what they said, from how they behaved? What did I learn from this experience?
You know, this word of resilience gets tossed around quite a bit, but my God, we're coming together under some crazy circumstances and really showing up in an authentic way. And I've learned that I guess that the limitations that I might have seen for us before, we continue to surpass them. I learned that we can still get together and connect in authentic ways, even if we're displaced, even if there's a pandemic. That's incredible.
I learned something that I'm constantly learning these days is I don't know much. And the older I get, the less I seem to know. And it's sort of a relief because I don't have to show up as knowing something or being an expert, although I do, I do have some skill sets that I can bring to the table, but it allows me to show up in a different capacity. So what I really learn is I don't even need to know anything. I can just show up because everything is already here.
One thing that I learned is how much broader this community is. Obviously, this is largely focused on Paradise and the Ridge communities, but there's just the fact that there are so many folks from different areas of the state and beyond California was really cool to see. And then just so this is a much larger effort than just one city, one community, and that was really cool to learn here in these 2 days.
Susan, you're muted if you're speaking.
Thanks. I wanted to say that I learned something that I thought I knew, but I keep forgetting. And that is that the solutions to these problems are not in the town council or the big collaboratives or the 501c3, established things. That the solutions to our problems are with people who are just at the grassroots. It's us. Solutions to our problems are with all the people that are walking around on the sidewalks and tuning in on Zoom and showing up for things like this. That's where the solutions are.
I was just going to say that I'm learning quite a bit that will be very helpful for us up in our area. And you're right, it is all in the grassroots level. And the town ordinances and things like that, those are just little stumbling blocks as we go, but we have to come up with the solution, and I've gotten some really good ideas here, like this innovation design. I really like that one with the town land. Well, we can prove to you that this will function and work well, and because they tend to just not want to experiment. So I think that's a really a nice way to go about it. But yeah, I want to thank you all for sharing.
One thing that I learned or was sort of just reminded about and I feel excited about is just an expanded effort at diversifying the partnerships and the people that you're reaching out to. There's a lot of conversation about the different types of folks in the weavings, and maybe some people that feel oppositional to you, but really trying to find the common thread and knowing that it really takes all of us to find these solutions. And so, working on organizing, like what are the efforts to really connect at a broad scope, and not just with perhaps like-minded or something, or what you would imagine the partnership to be. So I don't know if that makes sense. Something like that.
Yeah, I just agree that working around even the politics that have been dividing our land just wasn't present here at all, and I really appreciated that. And I learned a lot about community, and I think, and I keep saying that the whole world is watching how Paradise rebuilds, because we were one of the first communities that suffered such a disaster, a worldwide disaster, and there's so many following are behind us. And as you heard, they're learning also from what we've been doing and healing ourselves. So I also thank everyone for just coming and sharing with an open mind and open heart.
I think there's another thing I've learned too, just in listening to all of you. When we have the meetings that I've been attending, these Zoom meetings every other day, it seems, it's always talking about concrete and function, or this issue and that issue. We haven't settled into where we're talking about how we feel. And that's something very important, because that's why we're losing people in these volunteer groups, because the people just are not being heard about how they're feeling. So I think we got to create more of that kind of an atmosphere like you have done this weekend. So.
Thanks for pointing that out, Linda.
I was hearing a few people, I'm impressed with the growing capability to take on the challenge of regenerating Paradise. And some of the conversations I was in, I saw people actually reassessing their role, given what their background was, to play a different role. And I can just see this groundswell of capability growing to take this on. And it's very impressive.
Another thing that I'm learning is that people are more important than buildings. And so what we're doing is in focusing on regenerating and building community, we're building what's most important first. The buildings aren't a byproduct of community, but they're more of a byproduct. You build the community and the buildings will happen. So what I'm learning through these processes is that rearranges your focus. Don't focus on things that aren't the first line of action. And the first line of action is to come together as a community. And, you know, one thing we see in our community is, I mean, we talked about this a bit yesterday. It's the clubs, it's the churches, it's the carpenter, it's the dancer, it's all of us. And it's awesome to actually just come together with a group of people and just be the people. So that's what I'm learning is people come first.
Well said. Be the Well said, Julian. Thank you. Be the people. Here we are.
Okay, so we're going to move on to the third question. So this is the question I start to really, to me, this is where the magic happens. Sometimes we talk about this, the question is going to be, what can I and we imagine? So it'd be I and we would be together, and that becomes our purpose. And Richard here, that's on this call, and some other people, and we had this regular meeting. We called it Campfire. We had no rules about it. We just sat down and we talked for hours in the same place. And it was like sitting in front of a campfire. When you sit in front of a campfire, people sit around it, and there's some quiet, and then someone might play some music, and then there might be some quiet, and someone will say something, and it will light everyone up, and they'll start talking about it. And that is the spirit of imagining together. There isn't a right or a wrong. It's just what could be. So the third question is, what can we imagine?
I can imagine Paradise being a real example for other communities who've had disasters. You probably heard we had Santa Cruz Mountains here. We had fires and lost 900 homes. I know it's a small portion of what Paradise has lost, but what I'm hoping is that what you've learned about how to recover our area, our county, can learn from. And I can imagine other communities too, either victims of fires or other disasters that maybe could really speed up the recovery process and make it a lot easier if they were able to learn from Paradise. I hope somebody's thinking how that could happen.
Lana, thank you for saying that. And I'm sorry about the loss, and it doesn't matter, in proportion to Paradise it is. It's a huge loss, and I'm really sorry for it. And we do want to be a lighthouse for other communities, and one of the things I think I can imagine is starting to compile just bits of wisdom that we've learned along the way, like the don't sprint, it's a marathon one. And it is going to be a marathon. Maybe you speed it up, but more likely it's just going to take a whole lot longer than you thought it's going to take. And that's one of the things we've been learning. And yes, we do want to compile it into, maybe we need to do a newsletter or something like that. We've been talking about, a book or something along those lines. But we do feel so much for your community.
I'm sort of imagining that the social cohesion is going to be far stronger. It's like you get a break in your body and it heals and it's stronger than it was before. I just sense it when I hear that people are connecting with more people than ever knew in this process. And these new pathways are opening up. I suspect it'll be a stronger group together than it ever was.
I would like to say that I have always imagined since the fire, and I've nearly been run out of town on a rail for saying this, but I imagine a Green New Deal city on the ridge.
When excuse me, when I met Alan nearly 2 years ago, and we'd already had the Tubbs fire down here, and of course since the Kincaid and so on, and Alan said, well, why don't you come up to Paradise? And Bob and I came up at the same time. And when you see the destruction, when we drove around the first time, well, it wasn't new to me because I'd driven around all the destruction of the Valley Fire because I spent a lot of time in Lake County, and then the Tubbs Fire, but it still holds that same sort of terror or horror. But what I imagined and why I've stayed engaged is that there's a lot of potential, and I imagine that this lighthouse that Susan's talking about and the demonstration that Lana's talking about is not the whole of paradise. It's not going to happen, but part of it, a tenth of it, a fifth of it, 1%, some part of paradise would just go, this is how we rebuild after a fire in a completely different way, in a new way of settlement, in a new way of social arrangement, in a new way of defendable area, so that we demonstrate to Californians who right now, California, along with Australia, are the two places that burn the most on the planet. That's where we live. Let's get real. Let us be this lighthouse, this beacon. So that's why I stay in, besides the fact that I love everyone on Regenerating Paradise, that's what keeps me going. But this is what I imagine that can be done.
I imagine giving opportunity for the local tribal folks to be able to manage and tend land and spaces in this area, and learn from their kind of indigenous knowledge in land restoration. I know that there's a green belt that's proposed around the city, and property units are getting donated, and it would be awesome if those were open spaces for native seed banks and plants and the seeds that we need to restore our area and have that be tended. And I see food and community gardens and places where people can connect together on physical land spaces, trails and parkways, and a place that engages the natural environment just by being in it, you know, that it creates opportunity to engage in that. And I also would love to see a solar grid. I imagine a solar grid and community owned power. I really think that's important. And, you know, getting your power shut off all the time can be a little stressful on all these Zoom calls when suddenly it goes out and, you know, the person that connects it is out of town and you don't want to blow yourself up. So switching to a generator. So yeah, just being able to have some empowerment there and leadership that represents the community, I think.
No, part of what, I don't even think it's imagination. Part of what I know is that we're going to be hit by disaster after disaster after disaster, and that there's a learning that comes from that. You really inspired me, Susan, back in August when you talked about leaving your new home in the dark and turning around and saying, maybe this won't be here when I come back. And I'm okay with that. So I imagine this learning about how to be with disaster, with uncertainty. It's part of what's being built here. And it's so important.
Yesterday, someone spoke to an important aspect of what was in paradise, or what was paradise, and that is its affordability. That paradise was a a place where all could afford to make a life. And so I imagine that thread continuing into the future, that Paradise becomes a welcoming place, both in its culture, receptive to newcomers and to weaving in new younger people and fresh faces, and also in its policies that support people buying land or building homes or being able to get their foot in the door.
Another thing I can imagine is community groups that learn together how to fight fires. And I was so inspired to hear, to hear the story of, oh gosh, John and Lori, is that your names? I forgot already. Sorry, but fighting, saving their neighborhood with basically hoses that they put together and a plan that they had, and I just think bonding together as a community to say, this is what we're going to do next time. We're gonna maybe we won't, at least until the firemen get there, if they ever do, but that this is how we can help each other in the meantime. We can help each other create defensible space. We can help each other, communicate with our local fire people. We can learn from each other about how fire happens, and we can become a community that is fire wise.
This is awesome. So we have 2 more questions left. Then after that, after the questions, we'll ask Jill to share the graphic recording she's doing. And then we're going to ask you, the attendees here, how can we be in service to you in the future? And we'll throw out some ideas that we have. But really, we need, I was trying to think what Angela said yesterday. Bob, can you remember that quote that she said about how you show up in a community? Anyway,
come where you're invited and do what you're asked.
Yes. And so, yes, thank you. So we're inviting you to invite us so that we can do for you what you ask. So anyway, we have 2 more questions. So now the questions get a little bit more challenging because we're now identifying ourselves. So what is my, or it could be our collective role? And this is an actionable thing. So what do I see myself doing? Or more than doing, but what do I see my role in making, let's say, Paradise, we're using the word more generative, but how do I help the weaving process? And as a result, how does Paradise become stronger, more resilient, more economically viable? So how does, in a regenerative role, what do I do that makes something else benefit? For myself, and benefits others. For others, and it benefits a larger community. That's a sort of description of the natural, in nature, regenerative process. So so let's popcorn again around what is my role.
Tell you what, in this COVID time, I think communication is so much more important. We don't have to run into each other out on the streets as much. We're not going to, so I've been hearing, just a lot of need for communicating beyond this forum. And I'm a writer, and I'm a writer, and I've been an editor, and I guess, maybe my role is to invite everybody to send me your writing, and I will create a newsletter and send it out to everybody. And really, 300 to 500 words, we could have a newsletter, right? Going on and on, where people just talk about, what they learned from this and what they're learning from their process, and that we put it together and put it out.
Wow, what a good lead off on that, Susan. I mean, see how amazing that is? Susan has a role that totally regenerates for other people as well. It's an offering. Thank you.
I don't want to put pressure on anyone. I just also want to acknowledge there's a good handful of folks we haven't heard from, and just inviting if there's interest in comment.
Can anybody hear me?
Hi, Dan. Yeah.
Hi, sorry. I've been incommunicado here because I just drove up to Paradise, had to go to my storage container. You probably saw me scurrying around putting stuff in my storage. Well, as opposed to my dear friend Susan, I'm not a good writer. So what I have to offer is my skills. I'm more of a nuts and bolts guy, and my perspective on things, my knowledge of the building trades, but I'm also open to learning from other people. So I in a rebuild scenario, I think there's going to be need for everybody's skill set, designers, thinkers, builders, visionaries, and gardeners. I mean, just all skills are going to be needed, I think. So, I guess, what I'm trying to say is my positives are more on the project nuts and bolts building side of things. So that's what I have to offer, is helping my friends and acquaintances, possibly on the more building side of the picture, as my energy allows. For sure.
Thanks, Dan.
Great offering. Thank you, Dan. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll share mine. I offer my absolute unconditional love for this community. I will keep showing up, and I am here with you all, and I will I offer, if I can, ways to bring us together, invitations, opportunities for us to connect with each other. If you have an idea that you want to share, and you feel like, let's get it out there, let's have a bigger conversation about anything, let me know. Let's talk about it, and we'll see how we can organize together and get people into a room, even if it is on Zoom.
Hey, Carol, see, you've just shown up. So we have a question that we're talking about. And you can't say it's a question on the table because we're not at a table. But the question is, what is my role? And I would add to that, what is my role in regenerating Paradise, making it become more sustainable and viable? I'm not picking on you, I'm just telling you the question on the table.
Okay, am I on now?
Yes.
Okay, I still have trouble figuring out what I'm on or off. Oh, I'm sorry, what was the question?
We've been through a few questions, so there's a little bit of a build up here, but we're asking everyone what their role, how do they see themselves, the role that they see for themselves in in helping Paradise regenerate, become more resilient. So it's an ask. It's asking, you know, how can I show up?
Yeah. I'm not sure because I'm so far away. That's a hard question. I think the only thing I can say is I really do want to move back, but it's going to be quite a while. So I guess my role is just to be supportive of my friends that are still there, there's quite a number that are really having a hard time with the wind and the evacuations. So I think right now my role is to just be supportive and stick together, you know?
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
You know, I think I have two roles that I'm called to, and I don't know what the magic is that makes Northern California and Paradise one of the places that I call home, but I do. One role is that with Regenerating Paradise, I know that we're creating a new structure and framework for how communities move forward after everything falls apart. And it's needed everywhere. You know, this other side of disaster. And so Paradise, you know, it's where the destruction is the greatest, the opportunities to create the new are the greatest as well. So that's one role. The second role is that I happen to be able to be in this kind of work with people in many parts of the world, and you know, in the Northwest, in Oregon and Washington and British Columbia, and in Japan and in Southeast Asia and South Pacific. And what I know and what I keep hearing on this call with a number of people from outside of Paradise who have been here is that our connections across difference and distance are what give us the inspiration and the insight to be able to find the next step and the step and the step after that. And so part of my role is in that connecting and creating conditions for us to share our journey with each other.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being a great source of inspiration to me. I've learned a lot today and yesterday from all what I have heard. You've been a great source of hope and inspiration. I offer my technical help in sustainability, in renewable energy. I was thrilled to see Geneva's and others people's interest in renewable and solar systems. I'm also can provide some technical expertise in sustainable agriculture and in the overall human environment coupling between those two systems. So if there is any technical help, I offer my honest technical help in that regard.
Majdi, how do you pronounce your name?
Majdi. That's all
Majdi.
right.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Anyone else before we go on to the last question? Okay, so the last question, it overlays this a bit. So we just talked about our roles, and I actually should say what my role is. Alan christened this name for me. He called me a pollinator. So and I'm not sure if I think I'm like a bee and a butterfly, depending on, you know, what's going on. But that's my role.
Like a butterfly, sting like a bee.
Yeah, thanks. That's great. Yeah, that's great. And also, you know, where I am in the Santa Rosa area, I would say 50% of my life right now is involved with fire recovery in one way or another. So I guess my role is, we've called this in a group we have, facing fire. That's my role. So the last question is, what is my or our responsibility? So now we've heard about what people's roles, but the push is, what's our commitment? You know, how it was interesting what Linda had to say, that they're already losing volunteers up in the Ashland, you know, Talent and Phoenix area, partly because the systems we're in are very good at burning volunteers out, very efficient at burning volunteers rather than building community. But so it's hard to make a commitment if you're going to be burnt out in the next month, right? But here we are after 2 years. Obviously, the people in this group have sustaining powers. So let's talk about what our commitment to the future could be for Paradise.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Carrie. Yeah, go ahead.
Yay, whoop, whoop. I did it on my first Zoom. So my commitment is to have the tool library going by spring. Bam. I was trying to think of this deep, long, amazing thing. It's like, no, tool library, girl. Let's do the tool library. Get it going. There we go. Thank you. That's what I'm going to do for Town of Paradise. Make it happen.
Thank you, Carrie.
Carrie.
And we're right with you.
Right? Let's do it.
Yes.
Hey, Carrie, I would like to offer my help with that because I'm a tool guy.
I would love that.
If it would help. I've got a lot of tools and been through many tools over the years. So yeah, feel free to connect, and you can find me through Susan and the Paradise Guilds.
Okay.
So I'm Dan.
Thank you.
And maybe I can help you sort some things out.
Right on. Let's do it.
Yep. All right.
Thank you.
So Carrie,
Yeah.
that means you could get donations of tools that need a little work. Is that right?
Yes.
That's right.
But the tools need work themselves. Is that what you mean?
Yeah,
Like a broken
minor,
tool? Yes.
minor repairs,
Yes,
or
absolutely.
lubricating or something like that.
It's been pretty awesome already. We got a lawnmower and they didn't even charge us to fix it. The lawnmower place here in town. So, and they did charge us for one, but not for the other. But yeah, so everyone's just trying to be a team here in town, and we're a team. So yeah, anything you send our way, we can make it new again. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Carrie. We got a web page up already for it, and we got a Ford F-250 ready to go.
That's true.
Let's we'll plan a meeting with. Thanks, Dan, for jumping in on that. We'll create another meeting for that.
So I'll commit to at least 2 newsletters, depending on who sends me writing. You send me writing, I'll put it into a newsletter.
Thanks.
I wanted to share that relating to the last question, what I see as my role is, for me, I think one of the roots of our disharmony that we see is that we've fallen out of relationship with our earth. And I am committed to remembering what that's like. And I feel most connected at small levels. And so in Paradise, there is a piece of land for which I have great affection. It has fruit trees and fruit, and I commit myself to that piece. I want to go up and prune the fruit trees this fall and mow in spring and experience it because it's asking to be experienced.
What I like about that, Annie, and what Carrie and Dan said is the roles don't have to be earth-shattering. You know, the responsibility. They can be just like pruning trees, right? That's it. The small and the big are all interrelated. And of course, inspiration scales things up.
Well, I will commit to helping organize anything you want to organize, to share bot anything that you want shared out on social media. And I'm also an artist, but I know you really don't need any more artists. So there's such a wealth of artists in Paradise already. But yeah, any way I can help, that's what I commit to. And Alan, you know how to reach me.
Yeah.
And
Okay, you are an honorary Paradisian, my dear, and we always would love to have your art in Paradise.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I totally would, support anything that you need that needs help with organization.
Thank you.
Let's do one more commitment response, and then we'll go to Jill, and then we'll sort of wrap up and point ourselves towards the future.
If you want, I can just add a commitment I can have with Paradise is that if I come up with any kind of solutions that work up here, I will be sending them down your way and see if that at all helpful to you, because by pooling all your information together this early in our program, I think it's very beneficial for us up here. So it's been very helpful to listen to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's mutual, Linda. That's mutual.
Yeah. So there's the reciprocity being expressed in so many ways. So Jill, is it too soon to ask you to present?
Thanks, Julian. So some of the things that people are hearing is this call to greater self-responsibility. People are hearing where their limits are. People are hearing how authentic and vulnerable and dedicated their community members are. But people are hearing so much potential and ideas and readiness, specifically with young people. There's a curiosity about moving forward and how to plug into healing and housing. People are hearing a great deal of love and connectivity and presence and humanity, and a sense that coming together and caring is glue, as well as a deep love for the land. People are learning how to show up authentically. They're learning to show up and focus on people with an open heart and mind. People are learning new ways of being together, seeing, hearing, feeling each other. People are learning about resilience and how grassroots movements grow. People are seeing and hearing the larger effect of what this looks like on a broader scale. People are learning about innovation design and the importance of diversifying solutions. People are learning that everything is here and people come first, and we have to focus on people. We are a lighthouse. Paradise is an example of recovery for other communities. Many other communities are here today, listening and learning. There are new pathways opening up. And there's a new way of demonstrating how to rebuild communities and restore the land, restore native plants, and restore the sense of leadership and empowerment. People are seeing that people are being brave and saying what they want and expressing what they would like to see, and understanding that it's a long process. I love this term. We're becoming a fire-wise community. So there's a sense of a growing need for self-sufficiency. There's a call to maintain the inclusive aspect to the community, that it remains affordable and welcoming, so that when new people come in, they can learn how to be a member of the community, and that potentially means that everyone knows how to fight fires and to be prepared. What is your role? What are your skills? So this person in a rebuild scenario, they have nuts and bolts building skills, and they're willing to offer those skills to their friends. There's intense love for the community and a role of convening groups. There's a role of developing a framework for post-disaster response. There's a newsletter role. There is the role of simply supporting friends, connecting with people, connecting insights. There's a role of technical, sustainable knowledge and solutions, and seeing yourself regenerating paradise, imagining yourself in your role as a regenerative citizen. There's a commitment to taking responsibility for the tool library and people showing up to offer help. The recognition that we are a team, that the town does work together. There's an offer of a webpage, there's a truck available. There are artists, there are donations of tools. There's a commitment to write 2 newsletters if people send information. There's a commitment to tending the land and to remembering an earth-based way of living. A commitment to sharing information and organizing. Thanks.
Thanks, Jill.
We did all that. That's cool. Yeah, thanks, Jill. Ellen, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, I do. Thank you so much, Jill. Thank you, everybody. John, could you please go ahead and spotlight April's video? And April, could you turn your video sideways for us? Boom, there we are. Okay, I invite everybody to take a breath. Let what we discussed over these last 2 days root in. April is at the lookout along Skyway. There's folks have gathered there for years to watch the sunset. There's locks along the gate that are a commitment to love, to community, to relationship. And as we see all those locks, we too are in relationship and we are committed to each other. And we might be displaced, we might be far from our homes currently, where we call them in paradise or elsewhere, but we can still feel that connection. I'm so grateful to you all for your willingness to show up, to be vulnerable with each other, to allow space for something new to emerge, because that is exactly what is needed. We need to allow space for something new to emerge. We've been hitting on the same door, on the same nail for years, and it isn't working anymore. So as we let that history set, let that story set with the sun, we will allow for something new. And we are starting that today, and we will continue. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. It's been
So-
wonderful to be with y'all.
Good to see everybody.
So one of the notes that I would like to bring up is, as we expressed earlier, the role of Regenerating Paradise is to be in service to the community, but to bring the community together in a way that the community weaves together, and it becomes stronger because of that. We would like we'd like you to ask us how we can help provide that service in multiple ways. And an example of that, and we thought about this, is we might be able to develop a Zoom curriculum, for instance, of regenerating after a fire. And we might be able to put on something about building materials and have speakers and guests. That's just an example, or have speakers and guests about permaculture and relationships to the land. It's easy for you to brainstorm the sorts of things I'm sort of imagining. So can we imagine different ways to develop our future together? And so feedback is going to be really important so we can provide service for the next steps that we take together. Susan, over to you.
Well, my thought is that I hope that we have permission to email you all. We have asked for your emails as part of your registration, and I'm hoping that we can email you all with, to get feedback and your ideas about what we should do moving forward. In a newsletter, we could keep in touch with you that way. If you have objections to us using your email, please let us know, and we would love to stay in touch with you and be of service to this budding transformation. So thanks for being here. And I also wanted to say that we're going to have music directly after. We're going to have about 20 minutes of music, and the reason is that that we're going to go down to the drive-in in Chico to see David Zink's film Joy Will Find a Way, that is playing at the Miriam Park Drive-in down in Chico. I wanted to have the link for all of you, so those of you who can't get to the drive-in would be able to do it. I let David leave without giving it to us, so I will promise to send it to you. After this is over, and so that you can watch that film, maybe not at the same time we're watching it, but that you can watch it if you want to.
I have it. He gave it in our group. So I just dropped it in.
Put it right into there. Thank you so much. Oh, I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. Go ahead and copy that link. What you do is go to nortonbuffalohall.org and /joy-film. And when you get into Vimeo, which is where that takes you, you put in the password Art Spirit, all one word, all little letters, and you can watch Joy Will Find a Way video. And what that is a documentary of the event that we had last year on the 1-year anniversary of the fire that was held at the Paradise Performing Arts Center. That is a kind of a celebration of our community through the arts. And there's music, and there's dancing, and there's poetry, and all manner of beautiful expressions of what Paradise means to us, and what the experience of going through the fire was for us. So please take a look at it. That's what we'll be doing.
So, Bob, please.
Bob, do you have words of wisdom for us?
Words of wisdom is a high bar. What I have is gratitude for connection and gratitude for the journey.
Thank you. Thank you.
Two other people that have been instrumental in this day happening. Annie, do you have any words?
I'm honored to be included among you. Yeah, people who are fearlessly doing bold work in the world.
Richard, do you have any words?
No, it's been exciting to be here for these 2 days. I hope I was of a little assistance.
Thank you. John, do you want to show yourself? Can we see who you are? John's been our technology in the background. I don't know if he can reveal himself or not. There he is. Thank you, John. Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you for all the help. Alan, please close for us.
Yeah, I offered my little prayer there with you all that moment. Thank you again for joining us, and to our friends who supported us, the Campfire Restoration Project, the Rebuild Paradise Foundation, John Espy for showing up and doing the technical for us, North State Public Radio for promoting us and getting the word out, and all our facilitators, board members here, and community members. This is one step of many. We have many more to do, and I hope to do it hand in hand with you all. You can reach us at regeneratingparadise.org, and my email address is alan@regeneratingparadise.org. Feel free to reach out anytime. And with that, we're gonna step into some live music.
Also want to shout out to Jill for her wonderful graphic recording.
Yes, Jill, thank you.
Yes, and our plan is to be able to share some of those visuals, I hope, and some of the harvest information, the jam boards. We will organize that. There's Jill, yay. So much, Jill. Yeah, and as I said yesterday about the music and about Jill yesterday, that we can have these ideas and be in conversation, but there's other ways that information and feelings and thoughts are conveyed, and that's visually, that can be through music and art. And so we're trying to weave in those different perspectives throughout this event. So thank you, Jill, and thank you to our musicians, Mark McKinnon, David Leon Zink, Susan Dobra, John Michelson, and we'll send it off. Thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy the music.
Thanks for being here, everybody. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy travels.
Love you all.
Love you
Thanks
too.
for all.
Totally.
You're all awesome. Carol, it's wonderful to see you.
It's good to be here, and it's improved my spirit seeing y'all. Thank you.
Well, you want to hear some music?
Of course.
All
Hell
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Here he is. This is Don Michael's son, right over here. And we're going to play a little song called Living in Paradise for you.
There are miracles around my life. If only I will open my eyes. Take the time to truly see what what is here outside of me. A light upon my shoulder rest, as if to lead me on this quest. Around me, so astounding, I'm here to see it all. Oh, I'm living in paradise. It's every day. Oh, I'm living in paradise. Open my eyes and there's only blue skies. Oh, I'm living in paradise. It's every day. Oh, I'm living in paradise. Open my eyes and there's only blue skies. Blue skies. Each day, praise the sun, count your blessings one by one. Find peace in every day that's done, 'cause no one knows if tomorrow will come. I see the light upon my shoulder rest, as if to lead me on this quest. Around me, so astounding, I'm here to see it all. Oh, I'm living in paradise. Every day. Oh, I'm living in paradise. Open my eyes and there's only blue skies. Oh, I'm living in paradise. Oh, I'm living in paradise. Open my eyes and there's only blue blue skies. Blue skies.
Thanks, John Michael. Are you gonna play this for us?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Thanks.
John Michael's been playing this song. It's a new song. I'm the only one that's heard it so far.
It's a simple little tune that I sing to myself a lot. Because I'll just say it out loud. It's been a hard 4 years, so I'm happy. It's called Stay True. It's a rough road to follow. I won't lie to you, my friends. Keep on moving through. No matter what you do, stay true. Keep your eyes on that horizon and find a place in the sun. No matter what you do, stay true. Gotta be gentle with yourself. Gotta be so kind. Stay true. Stay true. Gotta be gentle with yourself. Gotta be so kind. Stay true. Stay true.
Don't you love that bridge? Gotta be gentle with yourself.
Love it.
So what do you want to do, hon?
Well, let's do one more. Okay? And you want to probably do Light a Candle?
Yeah, let's sing a song for the earth.
Okay. I'm an old guy, so I forget my lyrics a lot. So okay. If it's not, there it is. Okay. Pick it up.
The song is called Light a Candle. And we wonder sometimes if we should play it, because it talks about letting the candle burn and the fire imagery is strong in it, but I think we can all relate to the idea of lighting a candle for the earth.
Okay. Light a candle for the earth, let it burn and burn. If we listen closely to her voice, we will turn and turn. How can we say we are separate? We are one. We are one. We are one. Light a candle for the earth. Let it burn and burn. If we listen closely to her voice, we will turn and turn. How can we say we are separate? We are all one. We are one. We are one. We are one. We are one. Oh, I believe in a miracle. I believe in a hope and a dream. I believe that one day we will all understand. We're not separate from anything. We're not separate from you. And light a candle for the earth. Let it burn and burn. If we listen closely to her voice, we will turn and turn. How can we say we are separate? We are all one. We are one. We are one. We are one. We are one. I believe in a miracle. I believe in a hope and a dream. I believe that one day we will all understand. We're not separate from anyone. We're not separate from anything. You and the earth and me. Thanks, hon. You want to sing one more song? You want to sing Crazy Love?
No.
Take him out of there? We have 5 more minutes, so what do you want to sing?
Well, let's see. Let's do that one yesterday. We could always do it again.
Oh, sing that for us, yeah.
Okay. Here, I'll get all spiritual. Make a reference to my Buddhist practice. It's called Kathmandu. Sister, brother, won't you come with me? Kathmandu and see what we see. If we're lucky, we will make it where the gods play. Where the gods play. Where fat food always makes me laugh. Happy, joyful, tearful rapture. We're never separate from the real thing. Where the gods play. Where the gods play. And where I go every day. Hey, hey. I walk among the ancient mystics. High in the Himalayas, at night, where I go every day, hey, hey. I walk among the ancient mystics, high in the Himalayas. How can I help you see the light beams coming from your body in big streams? It's a natural way of being where the gods play. Where the gods play. And where I go every day, hey, hey. I walk among the ancient mystics, high in the Himalayas. And where I go every day, hey, hey, hey. I walk among the ancient mystics, high in the Himalayas. Sister, brother, won't you come with me? Kathmandu and see what we see. And if we're lucky, we will make it where the gods play. Where the gods play.
Well,
Thank you, everyone.
yeah, thank you
everyone
for listening and for being here today. We're just so grateful to be able to mark the 2-year anniversary of the campfire by singing music for you and for doing this incredible event. Thank you to everyone who contributed, and we're going to go off to the drive-in movies. So thank you very much, and hope to see you soon.
Yeah, take care, everyone.